If you clicked on this video, it's probably for one of two reasons. You either said, hey, I remember Farmville and wanted to get a quick little hit of nostalgia in, or you thought to yourself, every Farmville game? Well, like there was like a sequel or something that I didn't know about? There's 5. So in an effort to find out if this once hugely popular game was just a product of its time or still holds up, I went through and played every single Farmville game, starting with the original Farmville released exclusively on Facebook in the year 2009. Now there was an iOS version that released in 2010, but it had like no features and also was discontinued like 6 months later, so we're not gonna count it. Just as a quick disclaimer, Farmville actually got removed from Facebook in 2020 whenever Flash Player got axed, so with that I have to play on a special recompiled version that just plays locally on your computer. That is to say, I'm not going to get the full, real Farmville experience by doing this, but this is about as close as I can get, and it's more or less exactly the same other than like online functionality. I also have to give a quick shout out over to the people at Farmville Replowed, because they're the ones who are actually putting in the work to preserve the original Farmville, and without them, this video literally would not be possible. Okay, so what do you actually do in Farmville? Not that much. It's actually pretty well summarized by the game's first pop-up, which shows that you can grow crops, raise animals, play with friends, as well as mentioning the special Lady Gaga experience. Oh, don't worry, we'll get to that. Upon starting a new farm, you're given the tutorial, which shows you the basic game mechanics of hoeing and spreading your seed. Usual Facebook stuff. Plow the land, plant a seed, and then wait 23 hours for it to be ready. 23 real-life hours. Unless, of course, you pay to speed it up. Yeah, in case you didn't know, Farmville was actually one of the first free-to-play, pay-to-win type games, so if you hate seeing like Raid Shadow Legends ads on YouTube, you can thank Farmville for them. Honestly, I feel like the creator of Farmville feels like Oppenheimer. Plowing fields, planting seeds, basically every action in this game costs coins, which is also the currency that you need to buy new crops, and is what you get when you harvest things that you planted. This is engaging enough, but the real addictive part is leveling up. Most actions that you take add an experience point, or depending on the action might add a bunch of experience points. Like sure, you could waste a bunch of real life days waiting for your strawberries to grow to get to level 5, or you could spend some farm cash and buy a red combine to immediately shoot up to level 13. Leveling up unlocks new things for you to buy, and the higher up you get, the easier it is for you to actually be efficient. For example, the red combine I bought allows me to plant and harvest 20 seeds at once, saving me minutes of my life I could be spending with my kids or doing something I actually love, like playing Farmville. Now before you heard me mention farm cash, and that is the more premium form of currency in the game. Coins are fairly easily obtained, but they don't really get you any great items, whereas if you have stacks of farm cash and that girl with the boyfriend finds out, she might change her Facebook status to "it's complicated." That's how good farm cash is. Of course, this does come at a cost. An actual cost. You have to spend like real life money on this. The red combine I bought was 135 farm cash, which equates to a little over 20 real life dollars. Also, I have to like clear my name. I use cheats for this. I didn't spend real life money, so don't don't think that I spent actual real life money on the red combine item. So that's the main gameplay of Farmville. You plant crops, get money, decorate your farm, really anything to keep you from doing actual work at your real stupid job. But there was one other aspect to this game that made it very unique and also horribly annoying depending on who you asked. Once again, this is a Facebook-based game, therefore you were friends with people who likely also had farms, meaning that you could go over to their farms, gift them items, help them on their farm. It makes it sound all very collaborative. It kind of wasn't really. When I was first thinking about this video, I remembered Farmville being more like an MMO where there was like a hub area and you could like meet new farmers and chat with people, but I think I was getting that confused with a different game that I would play on my like red tiny Acer laptop back when I was like 12 years old. I tried to find like screenshots or videos, but I couldn't. I just remember it being like basically a rip-off Farmville game, and it reminded me of a little bit of a story. Now this is a little bit of an embarrassing story, right? I'm about to get vulnerable with you guys, so don't make fun of me on this. So I'm at home chilling, I'm like 12 years old, right? And I'm playing this rip-off Farmville game, and I go into this hub area, right, where you can do like your text chat, you know, all the farmers are over there, and I meet this girl, right, we're text chatting, we're going back and forth, right, eventually we go to like her farm, my farm, we go to somebody's farm, we chat for a little while, eventually she tells me she likes me, eventually it's probably like 20 minutes later, I'm sure, and I remember thinking to myself, man, if girls like this like me, then clearly it's not my personality. That's the reason why girls don't like me. It's my looks is why girls don't like me. Yet playing the rip-off Farmville game gave me my first memory of insecurity. I wish that I could like go back in time to my younger self and be like, dude, you're not ugly. Girls don't like you because you're at home playing rip-off Farmville games, trying to chat up what is almost definitely a 50-year-old man pretending to be a 13-year-old girl. Anyway, moving past that embarrassing tangent, the friendship aspect is one of the reasons why I think Farmville really blew up. You could invite friends to play with you, and since they didn't have to actually download anything, it was all on Facebook, even if they were slightly interested, there was not really any repercussion to just try it. Imagine you're just scrolling through Facebook one day, then suddenly you get a notification from me saying, hey, come over to my farm, check out this weird skull thing that I put on here, and then suddenly you're sinking real life hours and money into it. And honestly, that's kind of it for the original Farmville. There really wasn't that much that they had, though I don't think that they were trying to do that much. It was just a quick little time waster that you could log into, play for a couple minutes, and then move on about your day. Near the peak, they did try to innovate a little bit by collaborating with Lady Gaga and having a farm where you completed some quests and got the chance to hear some of her at the time unreleased Lady Gaga songs. Once again, this paved the road for games like Fortnite to have like the Fortnite concerts, which it's just so funny to me. That's such a stupid like domino effect. Like I mentioned, Farmville shut down in December of 2020 to the dismay of grandmothers everywhere, but Zynga wasn't going to let their cash cow die out that easily. Get it? Cash cow. It's a farm. Shortly after the original game started declining in popularity, they pumped out another game in the series around 2012 called... So the process of actually getting to run Farmville 2 was an oddly tedious one. They boasted about the fact that for Farmville 2 you could play separately from Facebook, which is great for me because I'm 26 and I don't use Facebook. I rot my brain through more dignified means like YouTube Shorts. So I head to the Zynga website and make an account and they want me to verify my email. Okay, cool, no problem. Unless they just never send the verification email. I tried multiple different email addresses, none of them worked, they just never sent this verification email. So I begrudgingly downloaded Facebook and had to make a new account because I'm not going to use the one that I had from like a long time ago. I didn't really want to use my real name, so I just used TVT, but it said that I was not allowed to do that because that's not a real name, which how would they know that? But I said, okay, that's cool. Still not going to use my real name, so I decided to name myself Mike Hawk, right? But it turns out Mike Hawk is true celebrity status, and they said that I was trying to impersonate Mr. Hawk. Which, you know, that's fine, so I just made up a name. And you would think that that would be the end of the issues, right? I got Facebook, I can just play the game now. But no, somehow this is still not the end. As we know, Flash Player is no longer a thing, which is a reason for Farmville 1 to shut down, but not a reason for Farmville 2 to shut down. Because there's no Flash, that means I have to download the Farmville 2 Launcher Plus. The instructions really made me feel safe because it told me to run it no matter what, and my computer might say it's a virus, but just run it anyway.
If your Windows Defender warns you about the installation, click on More Info and then Run Anyway to get your installation going. When the installation starts, if your antivirus software asks you the same, click on Allow.
I guess the real farming that's happening is my data to sell on the dark web. So after this like 40-minute long process, I finally have access to Farmville 2. Finally. It's just Farmville again. I mean, it is clearly a step up from the original game, though most of it is graphical. Honestly, I think the game looks fine. I mean, good even for a free Facebook game. I've seen worse for like $15 on Steam, so, you know, I gotta give credit where credit is due. And I have to give props to this one. It actually kind of feels like a real game. Definitely still a game that is actively trying to take my money and waste my time, but it is something that I feel like I can actually play for longer than like 5 minutes at a time. In the original, when you start off, you get like a couple crops and a little bit of money, so you plant them and then just immediately hit a wall while you have to wait for your plants to grow for like 20-something hours. But in Farmville 2, they really fleshed out the tutorial and I was able to play for a record 15 minutes before I hit a wall and had to wait for my wheat to grow for 4 hours. And let me tell you, those 15 minutes were the greatest 15 minutes I have spent in Farmville up to this point. They also let you feel more like you're progressing, like you start off with a tiny plot of land to work off of, but as you complete quests and earn money, you can expand it in some other overgrown areas, which unlocks more quality of life items. I was actually pretty surprised at like the type of things that you could do. I unlocked a kitchen so I could cook, so like the produce that I got from my animals I could turn into foods and things like that. I don't know, it's not that much, like it's still very basic, but it's more than I expected it to be. It adds at least a little bit of strategy. The game also has a little bit of charm, like in like a corny way. There's one character, she's a farmhand. Her name is Ginger Barnes because she has red hair and Barnes is like a farm. Like it's stupid, right? But it's something at least. Can you tell how low my standards are for this? I also love the fact that the overgrown areas that you unlock, in order to like unlock them, they send out an army of goats to eat all of the overgrown grass, and then that's when you unlock it. Like, that's cute, that's fun. I got to go and visit some other people's farms, and I have to say they looked pretty nice. I think I still prefer the look of Farmville 1 just because, I don't know, it just had that old school charm. It kind of reminded me of like Roller Coaster Tycoon whenever you decorate in that, but it's not bad looking. It still seems to have a little bit of depth. I went and visited this person and they made like an entire hedge maze, which was super cool. I don't know, maybe I'm being blindly optimistic, but I feel like they're showing that they are semi-competent and at least care a little bit. I'm excited to see what happens in the next one, just as long as they don't turn it into a mobile game. Well, this was inevitable, right? You've been listening to me describe these games and you've been thinking to yourself, wow, this sounds like every mobile game that's out right now. And you're right, it does. And Zynga knew this because in 2014 they released Farmville 2 Country Escape for mobile devices. Windows Phone users, you're in luck because this is on the Windows Phone Store. We know you've been asking. Before I download, I can take a quiz to see what kind of farmer I am. Okay. Alright. Now, whatever you're picturing in your head for a mobile Farmville 2 game is probably exactly what it is. They just took most of the parts from Farmville 2 web version and just made them worse and somehow even more brain dead. I can't say I'm surprised because this is like the obvious evolution and I'm sure it's making them at least a little bit of money, but like this is just worthless. Like, I can't even till the soil and decide what I want to plant there. I have to plant down a predetermined crop that just keeps getting reharvested. Why would I play this over any other mobile farming game? The original was huge because at the time there was nothing quite as accessible and like collaborative as it, and Farmville 2, while not as big, was still riding off the high of the original Farmville and at least improved a little bit. Country Escape just has like nothing. It's Clash of Clans, it's Rise of Kingdoms, it's whatever game you think of that you place a building and then forget about the game for 29 hours. And I know it seems odd for me to say that this one is like so bad when it sounds almost exactly the same as the other two, and it is very similar, but with those, I felt like there was at least like a little bit of life. This honestly feels like a soulless cash grab, which, I mean, it probably was. They all probably were, but at least the other two were trying to hide it. A lot of the issue comes from the fact that it is on a phone. Like, the mobile game market is so huge at this point that if you want to find a game that's like this but better, there's probably like 500 other ones. Honestly, I don't have much else to say about this one. Let's see what the next one is. Farmville 2 Tropical Escape for mobile and Facebook? Why? Why was Country Escape not on Facebook but was on Windows Phone, and now this one is not on Windows Phone but is on Facebook? They're almost the exact same game. Yeah, this is a little bit of an odd one. This is a Farmville game only in mechanics. Other than that, it has absolutely nothing to do with working on a farm. You know, the whole point of Farmville. It is quite literally a copy and paste of Country Escape, but just with a tropical theme. And honestly, I like this one better. It's honestly probably just the setting and the framing device that works so well for me, but like, if I was forced at gunpoint to choose between the two of these, I'd probably just let them shoot, but Tropical Escape is still better. The whole idea is that you take over an abandoned inn and have to build it up to a nice resort that serves customers drinks and sushi that you make from resources that you grow on the island. You even have guests that come and stay and you have to make them happy with the stuff that you give them. There's like an order board. I don't know, it's something. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a worse, more money-hungry version of Dundonko Island from Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. That was fun. Play that instead of this. And believe it or not, there is actually a story in this. It's very bare bones, it's very small, but there is a through line. It starts off as the usual leave your boring life in the city to go do something cool where you sustain yourself, but it introduces actual characters with actual personalities, which honestly goes a pretty long way in this game. There's like this island volcano god that can give you access to this special enchanted area that has these special enchanted animals. It's very weird. It's super weird, but like, I don't know, it's got a fun charm and it feels different. There are two characters that go on dates and you're trying to find out like, oh, will it work out? Will it not work out? You don't really know, but you want to find out. I mean, just for the video. If I was doing this in real life, I would not care at all. But for the video, it didn't make me hate myself quite as much as Country Escape. So for that reason, I think we got to consider that a win. So after riding the high of Tropical Escape, I knew that they were ready to pull out anything. They could go anywhere with Farmville. What are they going to do next? Would you believe me if I told you that Farmville 3 is a gacha game? If you don't, would this footage convince you that this Farmville 3 is a gacha game? I would say that this is the quintessential mobile game version of Farmville, in a bad way. Now it takes every page out of the predatory mobile game handbook and throws it at a farm theme product. Energy systems that make it so you can only progress a little bit each day. Rarity on the types of animals you have. Like, come on, man, do you really think I'm going to spend real life money because the Fortnite cardboard box told me that the cow I got was just common rarity, but I could get an ultra rare? Also, aren't most rarity mechanics in games for skins and are in multiplayer games? Like, if I told somebody that I have an epic rare ostrich in my Farmville 3 farm, I don't think they're gonna care. If we think back to the original game, I think a lot of the reason why that worked was because there was so much personality that you could put into your farm, right? You had decorations that you could place. I might be the only person who has like a skull on my farm. Even the loading screens flexed what you could do, what you could make, what other people were going to do. It made it fun and it made it feel like it was your farm. I just started playing this game and it more or less looks like all the other screenshots on the website, so it's not like I can even bother to make this place mine. It's just busy work for the sake of having something to do to avoid being alone with my thoughts. And if you still don't believe that there's like nothing to this game, 4 out of the 9 points on the App Store description are just different ways of saying that you can raise an animal. I'm not going to talk too much about the actual gameplay because there's just really nothing there. It's more or less just more Farmville, but worse. Instead, I want to talk about this weird article that I found speaking with the head of Zynga and the head developer of Farmville 3 because it's odd. It starts off pretty normal with them just kind of explaining, what Farmville 3 is, what their goals were with it. They say that the animal portion is really where they wanted to focus, which does make sense because there's like a whole tab showing how many animals you have out of the total like 200 something that there are. But now here's where things really start to get out of touch. They mention that they want to keep the game alive through like live content updates and also collaborating with animal influencers like Grumpy Cat. If you're under the age of 18, you actually genuinely might not know who Grumpy Cat is. To refresh your memory, Grumpy Cat was a meme with such hilarious takes like, "I had fun once. It was awful." Yeah, according to the head of Farmville, this is going to be what gets the kids back. They also said they want to make Farmville a metaverse, whatever that means. The article compares it to Roblox and says that like the band Third Eye Blind could come and play a show on your farm. Like, what are you talking about? It's just like so out of touch and obvious that they do not care about the Farmville brand or the fans or anything like that. They just want to line their pockets, which is more evident because in the article they say that they want to get $100 million in the next 5 years. So like, if the whole rest of this does not tell you anything, they're just straight up telling you that they want your money. So yes, to conclude this section, the 2022 mobile game made by the same people that made Willy Wonka Slots is soulless and not really worth the 400 megabytes it takes up on your phone. Well, in an attempt to relive a little bit of nostalgia, I instead just kind of made myself angry about mobile games that nobody even cares about or might not even know about. I think Farmville is a series that just kind of can't exist these days anymore. I mean, what do you even do to capture that magic of playing on Facebook in those early days? How do you relive the rush you felt when you saw you had a Facebook notification thinking it was your crush giving you a TBH because you liked their post, but it was just your neighbor asking you to water their virtual crops? Do middle schoolers even still do TBHs? Am I just old? I'm probably just old. I guess if you wanted to play any of them, I would say Farmville 2 if you're willing to like do it on Facebook, because I don't think the non-Facebook way works, but realistically, don't play any of these. There are mobile apps that are actually halfway decent. This is one of them. I don't remember the name of it, and I didn't write it in the script, but it's this one right here. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think nostalgia saves this one. Thank you so much for watching this one. As always, it is greatly appreciated. Once again, huge shout out to Farmville Replowed, because the people in that server actually helped me with getting this running and everything. And even though I don't think Farmville is that great of a game, I think preserving it is still huge, especially in the whole like lost media era where people need to find media that is no longer around, because it is very easy for us to just kind of lose media. I do hope to see you in the next video, and once again, don't make fun of me for that story. All right, it was a vulnerable time. I was going through puberty. You know, I was a lot younger. I mean, what do you want me to say?